What's up, guys, and welcome to another edition of Hockey Hub, where I can't tell you what we're going to get from these Carolina Hurricanes on a week-to-week basis. I was going to do an episode yesterday. I figured, let me go ahead and just wait for after the Lightning game, and just do one today. Because I figured, let me give the Hurricanes an opportunity to redeem themselves, if you will. Let me give them an opportunity to recognize the complete fuck up they just achieved, um, and give them an opportunity to make sure that they didn't repeat said fuck up on a second straight night to a second straight team losing the same exact way. So let's go into game one, which was against the Florida Panthers, right? Anyone who doesn't understand the fact it's not a team's fault for being dirty, right? If the Panthers are dirty, hey, it's because guess what? They've played that way and they've gotten away with it and they win. If it's a winning strategy, you're not gonna not do it, not play it, right? So the Panthers playing dirty and Marchand sort of hitting Bussy in the groin. I mean, it's what we should expect from Marchand. He's not doing anything out of character. If anything, it would have been out of character for the Florida Panthers to roll over and lose 3-1 to the team that they've swept back to back, or excuse me, have beaten back to back years in the Eastern Conference Final. If we thought that game was going to be easy going into the third, that was on us. We know what the Florida Panthers are. If you don't know by now, then it's bad coaching. The question comes down to is, I'm not questioning the coaching. I am looking at the players. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here, right? So we go through and we see Marchand's whacked to the groin. Goal goes in. Rod even says, I didn't want to do it. There's no consistency to what goaltender interference is at this point in time. Let's not. The 3-1, I get it. The 3-2, okay, all right. Everyone needs to buckle down, finish the game. So for Svechnikov to mosey around and not just sink the puck, the second your puck gets on, it's on your stick, you're looking up. You just, you know what? You take your chance. You have some confidence in yourself that you as a NHL professional can hit that puck, that you can hit the puck in the back of the net from anywhere on the rink. If I am a professional, I'm making sure there isn't a single spot on that ice that I can't sink the puck if it's given to me on the fly. And you know what? You don't have to. It's like golf. You could practice a million fucking times. You can hit the shot a million times. One small glitch and you might be completely off. But you know what? We'll accept the fact that you tried. That, hey, it's an icing. At the very least, it's a 50-50 puck battle going the other way. And that for the hockey snobs, that's the golden ticket. That's the thing that I think Svech as, he's just a knucklehead. He's just a knucklehead. Think about this: if he misses I haven't seen anyone defending him on the shot. Rightfully so. Don't defend him. There is not a good hockey argument to defending him. Worst comes to worst, if he took the shot, it's a 50-50 draw. It's a face off the other side of the ice. That's the absolute worst. He doesn't do it. And then what I highlighted last week, Jarvis is being put into positions where he's having to do risky maneuvers and could potentially get hurt. What exactly did we see from him? A risky maneuver against a team that we've discussed is not going to play by the rules. They're going to be a dirty team. Jarvis, I don't know if he had faith in humanity. I don't know what he was thinking. That play he did is a risky play because of that exact reason. What I am irate about as well is how that isn't called a penalty. How does no one here not look at that and say, maybe we should just review the call? At the very least, call it a penalty And then if you just look at it if you need to. That's one of the ones where you sort of have to go with your gut and say, yo, the player is literally injured. How are we not calling that a penalty? And then the league drops the ball again yesterday morning and doesn't even say, hey, we're going to give you a $5,000 fine for that trip and a dangerous maneuver. There's plenty of options of what the league could have done to rectify it. They could have even said, that's our bad, guys. They didn't do that either. Okay, but fine, whatever, right? Fine. So the pushback after, this is where I'm going to go into everything, right? I've been a fan of this team since 1997. That we're approaching 30 years. Okay. In that time frame, this time frame, this is the most consistent the Hurricanes have ever been, right? But this is fundamentally the wrong group of players. And this is why I say this, because I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, this guy don't know what he's talking about. No. Listen, just hear me out. Give me the next 10 minutes to prove that I've got a very valid point by saying these Hurricanes aren't the right players. Just hear me out. It's no better than going on Twitch or going on X or going on Twitter and scrolling, doing through your doom scroll for Hurricane stuff. Just give me the 10 minutes, okay? Consistently drafting undersized. You're never like it's one thing if it's like you choose Jarvis, right? It's another thing you can choose Blake. But when it's consistently round 0 through 3 is an undersized player, or we've seen it very rarely, if ever, is even a defenseman. We have picked a couple over the last couple of years. You consistently value the undersized player at the top end. Okay? So let me ask you something. Okay? Let's put it like this. Okay? I'm a 6 foot, no, let's say 5'11", a winger, right? Who's not projected to go in the top 20. Why would I sign with the Carolina Hurricanes? Because right now, they've consistently shown through the years they didn't protect Skinner, right? We haven't protected Aho. We haven't protected Blake. We haven't protected Jarvis, right? Back before some of you Hurricanes fans, there was Ryan Murphy. He was a great example of a player who was smaller. He got lit up multiple times. You got Chad Leroux was another player who got hit with concussions. You look back, there is value at being an undersized player. I am an undersized player, but the risk becomes that they can't defend themselves. The risk becomes that these players are going to get injured and then and feel like they don't. The opposing team has no reason to fear retribution. There's no who are we gonna send? Nobody apparently. No one's gonna care. If the once that happens, how is every player for the sake of hockey, not like for the sake of your team? These are your brothers. We love you guys as fans. These are the people you guys are like in the trenches for. If you care that little, why are we paying you so much money? That becomes the question, right? So getting off that tirade, let's ask this, right? Let's ask this. If I'm an undersized player, and for years I have not seen the Hurricanes address like getting wingers or bringing in wingers to like go through and like to help protect me. Why am I signing there, dude? You're not going to get protection until the Hurricanes fix that side of the game, right? Until they fix the fact that they don't have anyone to protect these players with. It is a risk to their health to come play here. There's no fear of retribution, right? There's consistent bonehead maneuvers from Svechnikov, right? It was a bonehead decision. How you don't shoot it beyond me. Seal the deal, dude. Have some faith in your shot. The rest of us do. Svech's fuck up leads to Jarvis getting injured. And those of you who want to argue that cause and effect, dude, this happened, so then this had to happen. He steals at fortitude, they don't come back. So ask yourself this, right? At the end of the day, what are these Hurricanes going to do to fix this? And the answer is probably nothing. We have told them repeatedly, you're undersized, get some size. You might have to trade a prospect you like. You might have to trade a couple first rounders. But until you address the size issue, and you don't have our biggest player be our goaltender at 6'4", can we please? Like, the irony in that is pretty fucking funny if you think about it, right? Our biggest player is our goaltender, the only player who can't legally go out and check somebody. So, with all that being said, right, it comes down to what do we need to do to fix this? And until the Hurricanes trade someone, there really isn't anything that the Hurricanes are going to do. I don't understand the lack of heart, though, if I'm to be frank with you, right? I say Jarvis for captain because of maneuvers like we just saw. He wanted nothing more than to win that game, to just shut him up, right? That's your leader, and that's what he gets for it, right? And then what's crazy is that no one has his back. No one thinks like, oh my, like we need to throw down, like there should be constant, like that game in a couple of days. If it isn't a complete bloodbath, which is I've seen some comments essentially I'm agreeing with. If it isn't a bloodbath, then like this team's in serious trouble because we're just going to lose to them again in the playoffs. Like it's like we're only not even being halfway through the season. You can almost see it, right? You can almost see Panthers sneak in a wild card 1 or wild card 2 to having to play the Hurricanes in the first round. You know, you can almost see it. So after that whole debacle of the Florida Panthers game, right, the Hurricanes decide that they want to go ahead and bring up Bradley Nadeau, who scores, right, on the first power play he's on, or second power play opportunity he's on, right? And this is where it's funny to me. This is exactly what I said a couple weeks ago. Bradley Nadeau should be on this roster. He should be on that fourth line. If Kotkaniemi is getting some value from playing on that line, Bradley Nadeau will. The question comes down to, like, let's just move on from these players. Like, I don't necessarily think that moving on from Kotkaniemi is what Hurricanes need to do. That might be a little crazy. I have been very critical of him in the past, but at this point in time, I don't think he's going to do worse than the other two. You know, I'm not necessarily talking about. I'm talking, you know, not Aho or Stahl, but Stankoven and Jorensky, whatever the fuck his name is, right? He's not going to do worse than them. He might have a couple gaps in absolute fuck ups, but we're sort of kind of getting that. So at the very least, Kotkaniemi, I think, has a better chance of finishing, right? But at the end of the day, Bradley Nadeau is a top 6 player already currently, and we're putting him down in the AHL. If he goes back down again, can we like understand that like we really have to say ET might not know what he's fucking doing? Because that would be my next logical step. Because like we're not blaming. I don't think you can blame Rod. You can't blame Rod for. Rod doesn't create the lineup or create the roster, right? He isn't sought in who's where, you know. Even though I do think that he's probably heavily relied upon for it, but you can't really in an NHL lineup you can't really have like 4 or 5 true fourth line guys in a lineup sprinkled in everywhere and think that like everything's going to be okay. You really have like Taylor Hall who could be a second line player, right? But we have him on the fourth line, which I don't agree with still, right? I think Courier is honestly on a different lineup. Is probably a fourth liner, right? I think that at this point, Don Robertson's a fourth liner, Jansky's a fourth liner, and like we haven't seen that Marty Party type of atmosphere, energy from Marty this season. I love Martin. I have no issue with him. But like if that's the one player, I'm like, okay, you can be a fourth liner. You know, there's value in having you in the lineup. But some of these other guys, there's gotta be some serious questions with at this point in time. because Bradley Nadeau gives you scoring that you lack. For some of us who are thinking that maybe we need to go, I'm telling you now, start teaching Bradley Nadeau center. Just do it. If I'm not mistaken, he's 6 foot. So the very least, he's a smaller end center, but he can do the job. Because I'm telling you now, if Bradley Nadeau can figure out center, right, everything becomes so much clearer. Him scoring that goal, that power play goal. Sorry, I'm going to try to get this back on the tracks. Him scoring that second line goal or that second power play goal is huge. It shows that the Hurricanes what they're missing, which is just a trigger guy. The guy's going to throw it on net. I would take that guy 9 times out of 10 at this point in time, any day of the fucking week. You know why? Because we don't have a true shooter. I feel like so many of these guys, they are playmakers. They prefer to pass, but they can shoot. We need straight up shooters. And I think for a while we thought that Svechnikov was going to be that, more of a sniper. He has turned into a low end power forward. Sorry. Once again, though, and this leads me to my next point, which is, once again, goals for the ability to put up points and score does not make you inherently a top end player. Yeah, it's great that Aho will probably finish with 80 points, but if he's on the ice for 2 or 3 goals against every single night because the opposing team sees that he's a weakness, so they're just going to put first line versus first line, yeah, he's not going to produce, but he's also going to get scored on. And when he's being scored on and made to look a fool, we lose. I don't think people realize how much this is going to be Aho's undoing. I hate to say those words. The lack of ability to play defense right now is currently being covered by Stahl. Stahl is that comfort blanket who we all feel great when he's on the ice against the other teams because he knows how to play the sport the correct way. Aho doesn't doing that. As a coach's son, you think he would. He is slacked on the defensive side. It shows, and it is costing us games. I understand, like I said, points is a completely different story. You let him go and be king. That's fine. That's his sweet spot. But the lack of defensive ability is hurting this team because in my eyes, I don't know if he's a first line center. I don't think I can call him a first line center. That's why I would much rather put Bradley Nadeau at center. Start teaching him now so that he can learn that position. Starting him off at 20, 21, 22 at 6 foot, if that means in 2 years, he can become a second or first line center for us, that's what we need. This is the whole thing. I don't think people understand. Your first line has to be able to play defense, or at the very least have a defensive player on there who can shut it down. Right? Nick Suzuki playing for the Canes is a perfect example. He's good for 55, 60 points, maybe a 65-point season, but he's better known for being able to shut people down playing on the first line. So his position is more about distributing to his wingers and making sure his wingers get the chances that they need to, and that he plays an aggressive form of high forward, meaning he's sort of there to help maybe distribute the puck a little bit, but the two wingers are the ones who are the ones really attacking the net. And so that if it goes back the other way, he can be part of the shutdown of it. Hopefully that makes sense on a quick explanation for the Canadians, right? So the Hurricanes need to figure out what their version of that looks like, because right now it's not Aho. And Stankoven, love the heart, dude. I just don't think he has the size that is necessary to shut down top teams' lines. Because let's just say, for example, everything works out the way you do with line matchups when you're at home. Follow, right? Ideally, first line gets their third line, right? But you always play second against second. Normally, that is how that works out. And then hopefully your third goes up against their first, and then fourth plays fourth. That's normally how it sort of kind of plays out. How in a perfect world. There's always no, but that's for the most part that's how it is. Normally, it is the second line going up against the second line. So if their second line has a couple of good players and good skaters on it, perfect example when Kachuk and Barkov come back, Marchand's on the second line at that point in time. So it would be something that Stankoven, Blake, and Ehlers are going to have to adjust to, right? So you have to start asking questions because throwing the lines in a blender at this point in time, I don't know even know if that's going to fix anything. You really just have to move some of these players out. Like, honest to God, Carrier's contract was a little crazy to me. What, 6 years for $2 million a year? Okay, so you're I don't necessarily hate the guy, but he's sort of locked up a roster spot for that whole entire time. At this point, you know, I'm at a point where like the Hurricanes have got to start making moves. I'm not necessarily saying trade away, especially. I'm not saying trade away the half the team, but hey, we're gonna send you down, man. You're not playing, not Robinson. We're sending you down, dude. You were not playing well. Hey, we're bringing this guy up and seeing what he has, because something has to change. We can't honestly 2 back-to-back losses when you're up 3-0 and losing both of them. It's a feat. It is quite the feat. I think they said that we're one of like 7 teams in history to do that back-to-back games. So you have to ask yourself, right? Something has to change. And on the flip side, can we get this Bussy contract done? I know it's, Christmas, but can we get that done so all of us can, that'd be a great little present, Hurricanes. I think so all of us can sort of breathe a little and relax, knowing that we're smart, we've locked up goaltending, because I do not see if Bussy doesn't sign here, we're cooked. I'll put it to you that way. Anyway, guys, this is about all the ranting and raving. I'm glad I had to wait, because I would have probably started throwing shit. I would have probably started like just throwing things everywhere if I had made this video last night. But once again, guys, Hurricanes aren't going to get any better until they figure out some of these roster spots, these roster changes have to happen, man. So, but anyway, guys, appreciate your watch. Like, follow, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Am I an idiot? Do you have all the answers? What's your best armchair GM move? But anyway, guys, appreciate it. Have a great one.